Let's see. Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and today we have a wonderful episode that is scheduled. Man, I'm telling you, the universe never lies. There was so much energy in this building, up in this room, up in this chat, that the power had cut off. How crazy is that? How ironic is that? But nothing happens by happenstance. I always believe that this energy that's in this world that we connected to brings out the best of us. And it could be the opposite, but we don't focus on the opposite. We focus on the great energy that we put out there into the universe, and it comes right back. And there's so much power that was in this building that it literally shut out the power. Man, is dope. Today, I'm super pumped. I'm super ecstatic, back with the same energy. We're gonna vibe out. We're gonna have a wonderful episode today. Today, episode is inspired by some loved ones, and I'm happy and thoughtful and thankful that I'm able to connect on these different levels with these loved ones because they inspire me to come out and be the best. I love to do things even when it's unconventional. Sometimes we have to step outside of that box and be uniquely us in our approach and always give the effort. Sometimes it requires you starting over, just as we were 20, 30 minutes into our episode and we literally had to start over. This is what it's about. It's about learning on the job. And this one thing I love about always reminding myself and reminding us that we can be resilient. So there are going to be things that want to stop you. There are going to be things in the world that want to stop your progression, but you can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. You have to put that into your psyche that there's nothing in the world that you're not bigger than. So always problem solve with that mindset, saying that there's nothing out there that can't be solved. I can solve all of the problems because I'm bigger than the problem. So once you become bigger from within, everything that's outwardly, you'll be able to conquer. And that was a reminder, literally, a few moments ago when all of the power went down. The power went down, and now the power's back on, and we got the power back instilled within us. And I'm happy, super pumped, super static. The same energy is going to resonate. This is what we're here to do, man. We're here to turn up. We're here to put that energy into the ethos and making sure that we do our job. So as we're going to do, like we always do, starting the new vibe when it comes to our podcast episode, we're going to do a drip check. It's time for a drip check to see what we got on, seeing how we feeling out there, right? I think it's a direct connection to we looking how we feel. My sister Ellie says, you look good, you feel good. And I feel like me having this vibe on today. When we come on our episodes, I love to do a fit check. And I think that really, really will resonate with who we are, where we are, and with the mood we putting out there in real time. So starting off with me, yeah, we're going to do the fit check. Right now, I have the neon, as you can see, the neon Yankee mesh. Not the back is mesh. No, it's not mesh. The brim fitted on. I think this right here is super dope. I think the energy that it resonates with, it shows off that we got summertime vibes in the middle of winter. There's storms, there's icicles, there's snowballs being made, snow angels. And what we doing? We bringing a hotness to the to the cold, man. So we're gonna melt the snow with the hotness. So right now, I have this unique, dope fitted on, which brings that summertime vibe out. Yes, yes, this is what we're doing. Now, on the necklace, man, on the neckwear, right here is something very, very sentimental. This is something that was given to me by my mother, and I wear it with nothing but dear love and cherish it, man. This is a connection. This is something that we bond with. She passed this over to the young girl when I was a young pup, and every day I wear it as a signal and a sign to always give thanks, pay things forward. It really signifies that connection and bond when it comes to not just parent to child, but also showing that humanity. There are things that's meant to be passed along. And I think that we pass along not just materialistic things, we pass on our thoughts, we pass on our perspectives, we pass off that energy. And I think that's the connection it brings to me. So when it comes to me, when I wear these pieces, it resonates with me in a way that reminds me of just passing things forward. That's what that connection is. Right here, I got this cream square pocket to the left t-shirt on. This right here, it feels very, very comfortable. It makes me feel at home. It has that neutral tone, still got that good cream, not like the off-white, has that cream resonating. It feels like what does it feel like? It feels like something with cream filling, something that's like, oozing out with drip. That's what it feels like. So that's what I'm feeling today. Also on the wristwear, I have the Samsung watch right here on the bezel. It has a rotating bezel, as you can see, change the time, date, messages, etc. So this wristwear always reminds me that sometimes we could be on time, sometimes we could be off time, but ultimately you are on your time. Never forget that you're on your time. Sometimes these watches signifies, oh, I have the place to be, I have to go somewhere, I have to show up, I have to be prompt. Also, I can say, you know what, I can disregard the timepiece and I can literally be on my time. And I think that's the beauty of having timepieces. It's a reminder of how you view time. I started to learn over time that literally time can be placed based on past, present, and future to your own discretion. We can utilize past, present, and future. We could actually put the dates and times to that. We have past events that people can live out in real time today, meaning that there's something that people can relive that they experienced in the past, right? Somebody used to be very heavily involved in some particular sport. They used to do it when they was a young pup, but now this day and age, they still can go get recreational ball and play sport, do whatever it is, and relive that moment. That's the beauty of having something in the past, reliving it in the moment, something in the past that we envision in the future. That's the power that we have of vision. When you possess that vision, you looking in the moment, but you also know that in this moment, although I haven't reached where I want to be at, right now is a moment that I still can live in the future because my mindset is already there. My mindset is being on that time of being somebody with high esteem, somebody with levels of respect, someone of um honor, empathy, passion, love, forward thinking, progressive. All of these things is the elements that you actually live out in the moment. Although you don't possess them at the moment, you already could put your mindset there so you can actually live that out in the future. So this is the beauty of us carrying these things over and possessing in real time. Although we want to live that out in the future, it starts right now. So that's the beauty of us doing these things in real time. So this is what I got on today. All of these things that I have on right now symbolize where I'm at in real time, where I will be at in the future. Some of the things I thought about in the past, because before I put this thing on, I had to think of what I want to come to the stage with. And this is what I'm living out in real time. And this is what people are going to see in the near future. How dope is that? Concept wise, round of applause for the God. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah. Inspiration. Inspiration. Right now, we have some beautiful souls in the chat. We have Lizzie in the building. We have C in the building. We have 100 Wave King. My brother 100 Wave King say, Talk King. Yes, yes. Give yourself a round of applause. Oh my God, I did it, loved one. We on the same mind. We got the same frequency. That energy is resonating. See, what's up, loved one? I love the energy. I love the competitiveness. I love the sport. This is a beautiful thing. This episode right here is inspired by my brother C, my cousin Black, and everybody else out there that have that competitive nature within themselves, that's able to look at one another and say, you know, we're gonna build, we're gonna push each other to be better than we were yesterday. It's all healthy, it's all energy out there that we're going to put to make each one of us better, because we're not against one another. Although there are systems and things that want to put each other against each other, it's not about that. It's about us coming together and say, you know what, how can I be competitive in my way in order to allow other people to go and build upon that, because it's about collectiveness. Pooch, what's up, loved one? VP Shoebox in the building. Pooch, what's up, loved one? It's about that kinetic, that edge that we feel about oneself. It's about that energy we carry from within, and be able to spread that amongst each other. And I think that the healthiness and healthy competition with oneself, and allow other people around to see, recognize that, attach themselves onto it, and build in a positive way. We also got to remember, no matter what, unity, collectiveness as people, right? People that share the same type of sentiments, people of your tribe, people that you look at with high esteem and you respect. This is how we got to connect on these levels and push each other forward, not backwards. So, like I said, today's episode was inspired by my loved ones, about us collectively. This is how we share together, and this is how we build together. It's all right to have healthy competition. It's all right to have disagreement. It's all right to not feel the same about a particular TV show, a particular food, a particular concept. These things are meant to be brought to the table so we can have dialogue. And this episode is inspired by those different mindsets of my loved ones. We are a tribe of people that are connected in so many ways. My brother Hunter Wave King said energy. Absolutely, loved one. That's what we possess. And energy can't be transferred nor destroyed. I mean, energy can't be created nor destroyed, only transferred. And this is the thing that we possess from within. And I want to give us a round of applause and let each other know that we can champion, we can rally, we can build just with the hands. Each hand could pull together. One hand it said one hand wash the other, both wash the face. One hand washes the other, both wash the face. How powerful is that? You know what? Instead of the hand, let's do the hand claps. It's appropriate for the hand claps. One more for the hand claps. On the wave thing. Absolutely, governor. Absolutely. Yes, yes. And then when we come into the age of enlightenment, we do the chimes. I'm here. Big love, big love, big love. Today, episode, it's called Checkmate. Oh yeah, checkmate. The moves that we making out in the world. How does that affect us? Every move, we have to make our next move our best move, right? Every move on a chessboard is meant. Every piece on a chessboard is actually utilized for different strengths, and everything has its weakness. But we're gonna utilize these things to our strengths and understand what the things we can do in the game of life and how we can, utilize our skill sets in unique ways and be just like that piece on a chessboard, because every piece on the chessboard has a specific role. And if we know how to embody those roles, from sometimes being the pawn, sometimes being the king, sometimes being the queen, sometimes being the rook, sometimes being the knight, understanding, if I just continuously position myself and think like this, if I was in that position, what would I do? Or how do I inspire from once uprising from that position? Now that I'm in a position of leadership, what do leaders do? How can I be the best one? How do I protect? How do I take steps forward? How do I lean to the side? How do I keep my eye on the prize? How do I position? I think the game of life, when we talk about chess, this is what it brings to the forefront. And I think that us as humanity, us as brothers and sisters, we can actually connect on these different levels and actually bring our skill sets to the forefront. So I'm super blessed, super ecstatic, super pumped for this live, because I think it's appropriate time. The climate calls for it. See, sometimes things just speak to you in a different way. When the power went out, that means there was just nothing but energy in the building. My brother had the right word, and that embodies everything that's going to be about this live today. Energy, energy, energy. You know, um, I love us together. I love us pushing each other. I love us to have different points of view, because it allows us to have dialogue, and that's what's carried over in conversations. Sometimes we don't have these conversations. Sometimes when we have disagreements, it leads to the wrong things. It leads to, f you, f you, f you, and then before we know it, we had each other's neck and really tearing each other down. And one component, right, it can stand for, just being competitive, which is dope. I think having that competitive spirit, it allow you to push yourself and push others. So I think it's a healthy way of doing that. Sometimes, as men, as women, we can be very, very competitive in our own element. Sometimes some people say, women can be really, really feisty when they're going against other women. I understand that. And some men, we can be really, really feisty when it comes to other men. I understand that as well. But they say, you know what? Sometimes when it's the opposite sex, man or woman, we can do the same thing as well, or we could come together as unified people. So my whole thing is, instead of disconnecting, how do we connect? Let's find more ways to connect. And I think that's where we're going to be able to grow at. A lot of times we stop each other's growth, stop our own growth, because we can't look past ourselves. Hold up, let me say that one more time. Sometimes we stop our own growth because we can't look past oneself. And I think these are the things that's hindering us. And we don't want to be stopped. You can't be stopped. The only person that stops you is you. Simply, the only person that stops you is you. And today we want to kind of break down those myths, man. We want to be able to stop allowing ourselves to be stopped by other people, no matter what the climate is calling for, no matter what's going on in that world that they choose to be tapped into. You got your own world that you can create. Of course, we have to go out in the world and do things, whatever system that we decide to put our energy in. But when we step outside of those systems, how you operating with that system from within? What just system look like? What codes of conduct do you carry? What morale do you have? What tribe of people you want to be around? What sentiment do you have? What levels of empathy do you have? How do you care? How do you do acts of servitude? How do you show up in other ways that other people can't? Oh yeah, affordable car rentals in the building. What's up, loved one? Black is in the building. That energy in the building. My brother C is in the building. Hunter Wave King in the building. Lizzie in the building. We got old man Pooch in the building. Good energy in the building. That's what I'm talking about. But this is really how we come to we sometimes we can agree to disagree. Sometimes we could come to the table and say, you know what, I look at life like this, you look at life like that. Totally fine. But when we tribe of people, when we got the same goals, we striving for the same thing, coming together as one unified people is the beauty in us being connected. And I think that's what we need to focus our energy on, just being connected as loved ones and people, and just caring about each other enough to make sure that, you know what, at the end of the day, we want to see each other win. So that's how we're gonna win. We go win by making sure that we do our part, push each other, healthy ways, healthy conversations, healthy competitiveness. All of those things are great. It makes us be better people. It helps us to assess when life has other things thrown at us, when we go through difficult times. This is the way we're able to show up. We're able to take whatever data that we gathered along our journey. We're able to take that data and actually pour that back into some of the systems that we may, encounter in the near future. You know what? I learned yesterday that, hey, maybe it may be better for me to be a little bit more prepared than I was for during my last live, right? I don't have a sometimes I'm a last minute guy. A lot of times I'm a last minute guy, fully transparent. I said sometimes, a lot of times your boy is a last minute guy. But I always challenge myself, not looking at it as a scapegoat or a handicap or a way to patch up the flaws that I may have, because we can pacify, we can justify wrongdoings. And I don't want to get in the habit of just justifying my wrongs. What I'm saying is that we can actually sometimes we have an innate ability to do a thing, and we could do a thing and get very, very comfortable in doing that thing and not really stretching ourselves beyond that, because we're able to do the thing maybe better than some other people, maybe better than you may even think for yourself, and we can get complacent. And my thing is that I don't want to get into a space of just being complacent. I want to be able to stretch. Sometimes it's not really just stepping outside the box, it's just stretching the box, making the box a little bit bigger, challenging myself to do things in a way to where it allows me to be more proactive. It may challenge me to do things from a perspective that may be uncomfortable, but that's okay. Uncomfortability is great because it allows us to grow. Lord Boyd, I use it as a very, very great analogy and a great example, because he says the way that we grow, the way that the brain actually works and grows and strengthens is actually by doing difficult tasks. So what does that say about us just going along to get along and doing the easy things? Are we really growing? It may look like it. You may have an innate ability to do a thing and it seems so easy. It is so easy because it is easy. What happens when we step, or stretch that box a little bit further and we start challenging ourselves to show up in ways that we thought um that we couldn't, or it just may be challenging in itself? What do we do along that when the perspective is there to show up in a way that you haven't shown up before, and the challenge is there to do it because you're like, "Ah, I don't really want to do it, but do I have to?" uh, uh, what happens then? I think there's so many great things that comes from it. So tonight episode is talking about checkmate, right? Learning the game of life through the eyes of chess, being a chess player. Ellie, what's up, sis? Sometimes we can look at these games as just simple games, but understand that our lives are connected into how we move when we play these games, the game of life. So many things I learned about actually playing the game. I was introduced to it from a brother of mine when I was behind the wall, and I seen everybody playing it. But he said, "Yo, like, listen, man, this right here is a thinking man's game. It's a game of life. You can make the wrong move and it could cost you your life. So when you play this game, of course you want to move fast. Once you learn a few moves, you think you got it all figured out, and then you go play somebody else that's a little bit more advanced. You figure out, hey man, this game was over before it started because I made the wrong move initially. So I got to watch out how I step into this game. How do I want to learn? How do I want to grow? Is it going to be costly of my life if I do this thing? So we always have to be conscientious. It's about how we move, when we move, the timing of how we move. All of these things are connected. And I think this is where our growth starts when it comes to who we are, when you start knowing yourself. My sister says, I love chess. Build a brain full of strategy. Keyword, sis. Keyword strategy, strategizing. We all strategists, right? We all strategists in our own rights, in our own way. I seen people that are, and I love to use the analogy of not just in this sense, but when people see a person that's on the streets for whatever reason, right? Society has a way of looking down on people that's out there in the streets, but don't know their background, don't know what they come from. But the beauty that I find is just having people that they count out is that their survival tactics, their strategy of how they able still to survive in a world that's not giving them anything, right? Have to fight for their food daily, have to fight for their dollar daily, have to figure out where to sleep. I think all of these skill sets allow one to be a strategist in their own right because they know, okay, it's freezing outside, let's go into the subway. What subways where, maybe the authorities are less, how would you say, more demanding or more, what's the right word? Guys, help me out. Y'all know the word. Just more, you gotta get out of here, you know? It I think all of these things are strategy, but the strategy of life, that's just one component. I'm talking about the strategy in your life, how you able to get to and from. Some people say, you know what, instead of me walking, I got a vehicle or I got a bike or I'm a rollerblade. There are different ways of transportation to getting to where you need to get to. And I think that's the beauty of us learning and understanding who we are. We are the pieces in the player on the chessboard. We are the pieces, right? We are the pieces, also the player. So behind the body, the physical, the avatar, the brain is what's controlling everything else on the outside. So I think of us as those people, those pieces on the chessboards, those items, those things on the chessboard. We can become those things in our own lives and move with intention, not by accident, move with intention, intentionality. I think that's something that's very, very prevalent, something that we need to be more focused on when it comes to wanting to tackle our goals. I know in the world that we living in, sometimes we think things just happen to the brightest people. Man, that person over there is full of wealth, but we equate that to that being passed down through generational wealth, but don't understand that may be a first time millionaire, billionaire, or we say that person got that successful position within a job or a workforce. And they say, how did they get there? Not knowing that their diligence, their patience, their positioning allowed them to be in that position to gain whatever fruits of the labor that come with that and the responsibility as well. Because we know that there's responsibility that's connected to it as well, or how that person right there is able to persevere through all of the turmoil, the trouble. How are they able to come up and rise from the ashes of Phoenix? They came up and they found a way. They found a way to really, really connect to something that's higher than themselves, even when the world counted them out. I think a lot of times we may felt like we was in those positions where the world counted us out. It may be a family member that counted us out. It may have been a loved one. It may have been a system. It may have been a school. It may have been a job. It may have been, just people that you looked up to. Somebody, one of your favorite personnel. I hear this all the time. They say sometimes, I hear this from a lot of artists and a lot of athletes, etc., people in the entertainment business. They say they never really want to meet their idols for a very specific reason, because sometimes they feel like they may be let down. I heard a lot of stories where some of these personnel said that they went to meet their idols and they were let down. So they look at them a little bit different. So they say, you know what, I'd rather just keep the memory in my mind of how I connect with them, not idol worship, but saying that those great songs, those great qualities, those attributes that I attach myself towards, and I wanted to bring it to my world, maybe it's best I keep that in a pleasurable space versus the space of, being let down by some of the things I looked up to. And I think that's the balance of life. Sometimes you're going to be let down from some of the things you looked up to. So how do we balance that? How do we figure out where we place that in our world and our lives, and how are we going to live that out for the next generations and continuously be those pieces on the chessboard to have the checkmate? Let's get into it, loved ones. Let's get into it, loved ones. If anybody knows, there are several pieces on the chessboard. We have the pawns, we have the bishop, we have the knight, we have the rook, we have the queen, then we have the king, right? All of these pieces on the board play a very, very specific role. And we can really, really connect to these pieces on how we want to experience and live our lives. I think it's very, very pivotal that we understand that even if we don't understand the game of chess, understand that in this world that we living in, this life that we living in, it's all about how you want to experience it. And every choice that you make, you're connected to it. And it's going to be a direct result, whether things going to be in your favor or not in your favor. So we want to have higher probability that we reach our goals. So if someone says they want to be a prime athlete, one primary thing for everybody out there that's working towards something, you literally have to go and work. So you can't just be in a position without having the ability to work. You may have the greatest talent on the planet, But just because you have the talent, that doesn't mean that you can skip out on not working. We see some of the greatest athletes, although they are specimens and God's gifts, right? With the ability just to do wonderful things. But when you start looking at some of these athletes, what are they doing? They in a field of their expertise. They are studying, they are watching, they are practicing. They're not only practicing, they're perfectly practicing. They're shooting a half court shot, they're running that extra mile, they're hitting another baseball, they're catching another ball from what they make. They run, they doing everything, sprints, they doing everything they need to do, and to build up the tolerance and the endurance to play the long game. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Even sprinters still got to run long distance so they be able to surpass that, that marker of running that 100-meter dash. Mac, what's up, loved one? My brother Mac in the building. What's up, God? So these are the things that we want to understand when it comes to how we play in the game of life. Let's break this down really quick, right? Let me just set this up really quick. On the chessboard, one careless move can cost you the entire game. Life operates the same way, except the consequences are slower and therefore more deceptive. More deceptive. We making these moves out here in our days that we are living and don't understand that there are pitfalls. There are things that are going to be unseen, unheard. We never seen this before. Deception. Things gonna look good. The shiny object syndrome. We're gonna be drawn to it. And although it looks good, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. And we go for the green grass. We go for the shiny object syndrome. Ooh, look at that money, so easy to get. Ooh, look at that thing over there, so easy to get. Ooh, look at that thing, right? Don't know it comes with a cost. So sometimes the choices that we make can actually affect us in a non-favorable way. Although you still able to learn and get through it, but it costs you time, money, energy. So if you know better, you do better. So how about we just, have the mindset and the perception, say, you know what? Hey, I've seen too many people make that same mistake and go down that road. How about I not go down that road? Because that road looks, you know, treacherous. It seems like nobody comes out on the favorable side. It just seemed a redundant thing. The people that doing that one thing, it leads you to the big house. And although you don't want to be scared in how you approach, how you want to be able to experience life, but if you want to be out here to experience life for the better, there's some things that will lead you to the big house. So just be mindful of the choices that you make, because any day can be your last. We was talking about last week, rest in power, Julian, and everybody else that we had lost prior. Up until this moment, prior to this moment. Um, if it was all said and done today, what are the things are you doing today to make sure that you solidify your stamp with your loved ones, with your children, with your work, with your name, with your legacy? If it was all said and done, and it's 24 hours, when 12 o'clock, when the clock strikes 12 and it's all over, what are the most important things? So it makes me think about life in that context, similar to how the choices I make on the chessboard, the way I want to position myself, although I don't make all of the right choices, but am I doing it with intention of putting out my best? That's the question. Am I doing things intentionally with the right intentions of actually putting out my best work, my best intentions, my best love, my best levels of empathy, my best acts of servitude? Am I doing that? Or am I doing it from a selfish perspective and say, you know what, I'm gonna be real cynical in this one. F everybody. Do I want to do that? I know I don't want to do that. So it makes me it reminds me of wanting to lead with the best foot forward. If there was, well, let's take the pawn, right? To start off with the actual pieces on the chessboard, right? Frequency music God. What's good, loved one? What's good, God? The pawn. What is a pawn? Pawn is the smaller pieces on the chessboard. So over most of the time they get looked over. They're the front lines. If this was the army or the navy, these are the guys on the front line, right? The guys out there just taking, they strengthen numbers, but ideally they look like the small guys on the battlefield. But one thing that you can't get misunderstood about the pawn got very, very strategic attributes that you never want to take for granted, such as this, right? Being a pawn. Pawns look insignificant, yet they decide games. They move slowly, but they move consistently. Let me say that word one more time, consistently. How about I say it one more time, consistently? That's one of the things that we go That's one of the things that we kind of take for granted, being consistent in our practices. Um, I know for me, there are times, various times in my life where I do a thing, and then I not do a thing. And then I look back on those moments on my progression and say, I should be here. Ideally, I should be over there. I should have mounted, I should have been a millionaire by now. I should have had all of this by now. I should have had all of that by now. But was I consistent with my approach? Was I disciplined enough to go out there and seek even under the conditions that wasn't favorable of mine? Did I work through those conditions? Was I bigger than a problem? Did I persevere? Those are the questions I have to ask myself. The ones that's out there, such as the pawns, they're consistent in their movement. How powerful is that? What does that look like in one person's life? It looks like daily habits. It's like routine things. It's like showing up when no one applauds. It's like saving the money, protecting your health, practicing your craft. Like we said, but the people or the personnel with the greatest talents in the world, you think they don't sing, the greatest singer, right? The Patti LaBelle's, the Yolanda Adams, the whoever you deem as the greats, do you think they not practice? Carmen, what's up, sis? Sub loved one, Carmen in the building. You think these people take their crafts for granted? You think these people don't? If a person want to feed their family, you think they don't show up for work? Because how is that going to be possible? The greats practice. So sometimes we can get in routines and habits that are actually favorable for us. So the pawns, they move with that intention of being consistent. What areas in your life are you consistent at? Because we can't complain about not having if you're not showing up to do the job. And doing the job is not actually going to work, it's going to work on your craft. Are you being a better person? Are you leading with empathy? How about your acts of servitude? Are you able to love? Are you able to care for another person? Are you able to step outside of yourself and say, you know what, let me do something that's above me, and put yourself out there in a way that, you can be vulnerable? Not for the sake of someone taking advantage of you, just saying that let me go out there on a limb to show that these things are possible because I know I got it from within. So everybody else that's out there that's scared to leap out there with the leap of faith, you still got that embedded within you because you was built like that from the beginning. But it was an act of that skill set, of that confidence, of you just building that up and continuously striving for the best, like Laura Boyd said, strengthening your uncomfortability, saying that, you know what, although I'm scared, although I may have, um, some elements about me that I don't feel are the best attributes that someone else got, and we do that comparison thing, but you still going out there no matter what and giving your best. That's the true champion. That's the person that will be consistent because no matter the conditions, they showing up for the job. That's what the pawns look like on the chessboard. hmm They're always hitting traps, always hitting traps. People underestimate small moves because they crave dramatic transformation. Let me say that one more time. People underestimate small moves because they looking for dramatic transformation. Boom, the millionaire overnight. They don't know that they had to acquire um 20 years of learning, 20 years of discipline, nights, day and night, working, getting limited hours of sleep. I heard something from Alex Hormozy the other day. He said most people focus on a 9 to 5, but most people fail in their lives because they don't focus on the 5 to 9, the after hour shifts. People only focus on the 9 to 5 hours. So once their job is done, literally that they're working for someone else, they don't come home and they work on their business. They don't come home and take care of their job from the 5 to 9 hours. When I heard that, I'm like, ooh, what am I doing with my time when my shift ends? Actually, the shift in my life starts to begin once that other shift is over. So what am I doing on my downtime to work up to where I need to be at in my life? Powerful, powerful. Let me ask you about this. Take this hypothetical situation. What if the life that you want is only 100 disciplined steps away? 100 disciplined steps away. But you keep restarting you keep restarting at step 3. Keep starting at step 3. You keep restarting at step 3. This reminds me of the long walk that we had the other few weeks back when we talked about the long walk, right? Sometimes some people start this journey that they on, and they looking for the support initially at the starting line because it looks good at the starting line. When we talking about the grandiose things that we want to bring into our lives and to our lives and our worlds, we say, you know what? Oh, I see this new venture out there. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna start this thing, and it sounds very very pleasing. It sounds like the things you. It sounds like music to everybody else's ears. It sounds like what they call it, mental masturbation, right? It sounds all of these grandiose things that everybody's like, oh, I'm excited for you. My sister Ellie says the journey is what builds character. Ooh, sure does, sis. The journey is what builds character. Absolutely. So when we starting that journey and we looking for everybody else to go along our journey with us, we fail to realize it's the character that you are building, not what they are building. So your journey is simply for you. Your journey ain't for everybody else. Although we looking around for the support and want everybody else to come along our journey, not understanding that your journey is simply for you. My sister Ellie said it perfectly. The journey is what builds character. So along your journey, along your trials, along your mishaps, along your misfortunes, there's something called serendipity. Ha, we didn't know about serendipity. Oh yeah, what's up, Norm in the building? You had a wonderful party. I'm gonna tell you in real time. We mentioned it last week, but I'm gonna tell you your 60th birthday party was one to remember. We had a great time. Everybody was super super dapper. Everybody looked wonderful. The men was out there doing a 1-2 step, and the ladies out there was really in a dapper attire. Super dope, super great. The gambling vibe, the gambling scene, the Harlem Renaissance era, the Harlem Nights thing, super vibey. Great time. Love you too. Never forget that. Great time overall. We're talking about this journey thing, the character. Who are you becoming? That's most important, right? Um, let's think about the night. So the night is a very, very intriguing piece. It actually is the horse. So if you want to identify what the night looks like, it's a horse. That horse has to move in an L shape, right? So think about the moves that one can make. We think about the pawn. The pawn has to be consistent and they only have to continuously move forward. You can't take a step to the left. You can't take a step to the right. You can only move forward with the pawn. The knight's a little bit different. The knight has to move in an L shape. So what does that mean? It can't just move forward. It always had to move up and move to the side, or move back and move to the side, or move to the right and move to the side, and move to the left and move to the side. Always an L shape, unconventional. You can't really predict. It always has 4 moves ahead of itself. How powerful is that? The knight on the chessboard. So sometimes we have the consistent moves of the pawn, but sometimes in our lives it causes us to pivot. And that pivot sometimes need to take a step back and step to the left. Sometimes that pivot may look like, I got to go a little bit harder, jump up and to move to the right. How powerful is that? That's the moves that a knight makes. Knights do not move straight. They disrupt patterns. Mm-mm-mm-mm. The knights do not move straight. They disrupt patterns. So it's nothing conventional. It's nothing that we can predict. That's the unpredictable factor about a night. That's the unpredictable factors that may happen in our lives. That's the unpredictable factors that may require you to pivot in your life. Sometimes it may not be the straightforward, consistent move. It may be the move that, you know what, damn, I'm jammed up right now. Sometimes I got to stay still. And when it's my time, I got to take a step back and bust out to the left and then bust out to the right. Take a step up and go to the right or go on another angle. Crazy. How about we talk about this in this language? If I were to communicate this and I want to translate this in the best way, we think about a night. We think about thinking differently. Let's think about thinking differently. How many times we have these patterns in our lives to where we show up and we say, you know what, that thing right there just seemed redundant. Not if you're a knight, not if you're a knight, you disrupt patterns. You are thinking differently. That's what a knight does. Leveraging unconventional opportunities. Leveraging unconventional opportunities. What is leverage? Meaning that you're using these things to your advantage. meaning that you being who you are, you can use who you are to your advantage. Sometimes people have attributes about themselves that give them the leverage. I was looking at my nephew Darius earlier, and every time I look at him, the first thing that just comes to my mind, besides me loving him and unconventional love, maybe the second thing that comes to my mind is stature. The second thing that comes to my mind is his stature, his attributes, his physique. He was talking about working today. We just building. We was talking about going get a job and working. That Darius, I love you. Understand that, Neff. Love you unconditionally. But he was talking about improving in his life and making sure he want to get some money on his pocket and he want to go out there and grow and provide and be self-sustainable, right? So he says, you know what, I want to go out there and go in the working field and work. But that's something that makes me think about the night, thinking differently. How many people at 16 years old thinking about going out there and providing for his family, going out, putting money in his pocket? Most people at 16 years old in this day and age is worrying about, you know what they worry about at 16 years old. What was you worried about at 16 years old, huh? I know what I was worried about when I was 16 years old, huh? You feel me? You feel me? But Neff out there thinking differently. He thinking about disrupting these patterns. So you want to go out there and be self-sustainable. Proud of him. Proud of him. Proud of him. That's thinking like a knight, reinventing yourself. Sometimes it causes us to go out there and reinvent ourselves. My sister Ellie says leverage equals intentionality, positioning to scale or succeed. Ooh, that's powerful. Let me read that one more time. Please be with us. It says leverage, right? Your advantages equals intentionality, doing things with the purpose, knowing, positioning to scale, meaning we're going to go up, right? And or succeed, meaning that we're going to be victorious in our approach. That's so powerful, sis. That's so powerful. Leverage. Everybody has a leverage. Everybody has a leverage. And we have to, it's up to us to identify what that leverage is and continuously build upon it. Rescale. I heard this from Big Homie CC. Big Homie CC said, you know what? He was talking about, I forgot what he was talking about. Oh, he's talking about his life dealing with the AI age and you know how they trying to separate the classes. They really don't want a middle class no more. So they want really, really wealthy people and really, really poor people. They want to cut out the middle class. And he said one word that made me think about maybe the next live we may do it around rescaling, being reskilled, meaning that we have to go back into the field of our expertise and maybe just strengthen it or reskill. It may require us to do some things that we're not comfortable with doing or picking up a new trade, a new act, a new skill. But the only way we're able to do these things is if we really, really familiar with who we are and utilizing our leverage. And my sister Ellie says, using our leverage, we have to scale. We have to scale in those areas. We have to develop the skill to scale and actually do things with intention, being intentional, not by accident. Just do things with the intention from a place of knowing, not guessing. Let's go know. Because there's some things that's built up inside of you that people want to strip away. People may tell you that, you know what, you're not good enough. You're not funny enough to be on stage of comedy. People say, you know what, you're too small to go out there and play that sport. People say, you know what, you come from a background of financial illiteracy. So you can't go out there and be financially astute because you don't have the knowledge. You don't have the discipline. You don't know how to treat money when you get money. You don't know how to invest money. You don't know what to do when you get money. Da 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 da. Money, 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 money. All you do is just a big spender, not knowing that you can go out there and acquire wealth because you developed the skill set to do so. So when we're talking about leverage, we don't want nobody to take that away from us because they will, or they try to diminish that light because they see that growth, they see that power, they see your strength, and sometimes people can be fair of it even though they don't understand that if we work together, there's nothing to fear. You supposed to. I know what I learned to do is applaud things that surround me that's better. I used to be in competition. Akil, what's up, loved one? I used to be in competition with everything else that looks better than me because there was a fear in my heart of coming in second, not knowing that I can acquire the same things and more if I utilize my skill sets and think about collectiveness and doing things with a hand, one hand wash the other, doing it with collectiveness, doing it with how about working together, how about doing things as a unit, building community. I didn't think of things along those lines. I thought about a dog eat dog mentality. So whatever somebody else have, I had to have what they have. I had to have what everybody else have, and I have to have what mine. And I'm unwilling to share. So I haven't learned how to build community because I was unwilling to share. But now, this day and age of acquiring love, compassion, empathy, learning to do acts of servitude. It enabled me to understand community. It able to enable me to understand you know what, in our household, even just starting there, we look out for one another. So that means that if there's a piece of pie, piece of cake that's on the table, instead of me just golfing it down by myself, how about I split it with the loved ones that want a piece? Everybody eats B. Everybody eats B, but you just can't have um a single mindset to where like it's only about you. Ideally, we know self-preservation, first law of nature. We want you to be we want you to put yourself in the space of caring for oneself. But after oneself is next is how do we care for community? How do we care for one another? Carmen says respect you too, loved one. I love and respect you too as well, Carmen. Kill says much love, bro. Keep grinding. Absolutely. Ellie says the wealthy collaborate, collaborate. They don't compete. Ooh, collaborate. Yes, the wealthy collaborate. They don't compete. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, you always got a way of just hitting it right out the park. Every time someone's on my mind, like that's the word he's looking for. Facebook. Ooh, comment from my brother Ed, man. Ed said you're doing a great job, my brother. Ed, I love you and respect you. I talked about that last week of how much you instilled in me, even when I was, rough around the edges and real. My temperament was out of pocket. Just keeping it 1,000. When I was around Ed, for some odd reason in my life, my temperament was out of pocket. I was really, really edgy. Maybe just because things wasn't working out to my favor, and I thought it was circumstantial things. I didn't understand that I was the primary factor in changing the things in my own life, and I wasn't disciplined enough at that moment. So I kept blaming other people and other things. And Ed was around the time in my life when I was doing that, and he used to pull me to the side and say, "Yo, listen, bro, it ain't that serious. You got this, John. Just talk to me like that." And I used to be so edgy. In the heat of the moment, he'll pull me to the side and tell me, "Listen, bro, you gonna work through this." I love and respect you for that, Ed. Always will. And I keep telling you that because I want to give you the flowers in real time because there's certain things that transpire in my life, people that have memorable experiences, transformational things in my life that I always want to be mindful of because if I don't have the opportunity to give them their flowers, I don't want a day to go by in something to where I'm not able to do that for whatever reason. And I feel like, you know what, that's a bad omen on me because I know the right thing to do, like just symbolic me just wearing the chain of paying things forward. So that's what that symbolizes to me when I see people and loved ones that impacted me in a real way. I always want to be able to give the flowers. That's what Lisa used to send me. Mystery, slow down and smell the flowers. Lisa Otero, she used to say that to me all the time. Mystery, slow down and smell the flowers. Powerful, powerful. Norm says, I keep saying that if we work together, we will be a force to reckon with, but everyone is out for self. That's one of the things that we have to overcome in our communities. That's one of the things that we don't learn in our communities. We keep thinking that the person that looked like me is my enemy. And we have to know that even if the person looks like you, of course, ideally, everybody may not be for you, but you have to curate the tribe. You have to put together your tribe. You have, my brother Floody said, you have to get your trusted advisors. So you have to build that. Most people keep equating life from a standpoint of, God's going to do everything for you. Of course, we know that's the all knowing, that's the all powerful, right? But there's a job that has to be done by ourselves that we keep missing out on. Skrilla, what's up, loved one? Nisi, what's up, loved one? There's a job that we have to do that we miss out on. And that's us putting in that same work, us going out there and developing and curating, us learning how to love, how to care for one another, how to trust one another. How you think we're going to go in the world to trust one another? We don't trust ourselves. Hold up. How you think we were going to go out in the world, trust somebody else, we don't trust ourselves? Something that Myron Golden said. Myron Golden said, we are the only people that heard every lie that we told, meaning that every time you was not transparent, not truthful, not honest, even though you told somebody else another fable, the only person that ever heard every single one of those is you. So sometimes when you start saying, you know what, if I lied this much, how many other people out there are lying? So now we're looking at everybody else as liars because all of the lies we told in our own lives. So that's what makes me think about what Norm was saying about if we work together, we can be a force to be reckoned with, but we out for self. And a lot of times that self thing It's because we don't trust nobody else. But we have to learn how to do that because sometimes the environment breeds that. Sometimes it's, not having nothing. And once you get something, you don't want to let it go. But also don't understand that, hey, everything that you once had, you still can acquire and more because it's about the mindset. Nelson Mandela said, yeah, they locked me up for 30, 40 years. But one thing they couldn't lock up was my mind. So you're gonna take your mind with you no matter where you go. People go to different states, different countries, different worlds. Why do you think foreigners come here with the mindset of, you know what, we're going to take advantage of the fruits of, or we're going to take advantage of what's going on out here in the climate of wherever they move to? I'll say, oh, you know what? Oh, people don't want to work. Whoever, not saying that us Americans or whoever. I'm saying that they a lot of foreigners that have the mindset to come and acquire wealth, they're able to do it because their psychology behind how they're going to deal with things is always going to be the same psychology no matter where you put that personnel. In their hearts, they are winners. In their minds, they already won. So you're not dealing with a defeated mentality. A lot of times we're already defeated before the game starts because we do the comparison thing. We keep looking at what everybody else have and not saying, how can I acquire if we come together, collaborate? Like Ellie said, if we come together and collaborate. But we don't look at collaboration. We look at self-sustaining things for self, being cynical, self-centered. We looking at, okay, I'm doing this for me and only me and mine. Yeah, that's going to be short-lived because we know that you can't acquire the world without collectiveness. How do you think every business is ran? Or ideally, it could be you, right? But you're gonna have to rely on the postal people to deliver your packages to whoever you're trying to send the goods to. You need the customers to come into the store, so you need somebody working the register. You need somebody in the educational field. You need somebody to learn, study, pass on that same knowledge. So we need one another. But we live in a world and society that makes everybody believe I'm the self millionaire. I'm a self-made millionaire. I don't need nobody. My brother Kill says, surround yourself with positive people and build something great. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Who you're around. They said if you're around 4 millionaires, my brother, the other week, Ronnie said this. Ronnie said, if you're around 4 millionaires, you'll be the fifth in due time. Because those people of that tribe, they do a thing. People like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. What do that mean? That means that there's a culture behind what you do and who you surround yourself around. There's a culture. Norman says teamwork makes the dream work. Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work. Man, what's what's he passed, rest in power. What's his name? Uh Freddie, right? Rest in power, Freddie. Freddie was a he he come from a background of being a Persian Jew, right? So his family are Persian Jews. So one thing that he was telling us about how they move as a community, right? Ellie says, like we always say, get in the room. Absolutely, got to get in the room. Getting in the room is very, very important. We have to get in the room. Freddie said this, right? He said that when they go out and they want to purchase a car, they don't purchase one car for one family. They go purchase cars as a collective for all of the surrounding families. So they say when they want to go buy a Mercedes Benz, they say what they do is they go to the Mercedes Benz dealership with 30. Well, it's one person that represents one of few people that represents all of the families, right? So they have this amount of money up together and they say, no, we want to go buy 30, 40 Benzes, BMWs, Mercedes, whatever, right? And he said what happens is when they come inside that building, they get the best treatment because they understand that the strength is in the numbers. They spending abundance of money. They go in there and set the table to where, you know what, we're not going to pay retail. We're going to pay, whatever the cost is, a few dollars markup from what the people are going to get, et cetera, et cetera. But the whole premise of that is saying that we do things as a unit and as a family, as one people. And they said they do the same thing when they go purchase homes and when they go purchase businesses, buy up everything as a collective. They do things as a collective because the strength is in the numbers. And I know in our communities, we're not really taught that. We taught when you get yours, don't share. You get your snacks in school, don't share with nobody else. That's your snack. Your mom work, dad, family work hard for it. Don't share with nobody else. You over there playing on the field. That's your kickball. Don't play with nobody else. This is psychology that we are taught. And a lot of times we're looking around for the guidance of saying, well, where is this coming from? Who was taught this? Why? How do I learn this? Not understanding that it's coming like almost second nature when you get as an adult and you have these tendencies to write your name on the milk in the house of 5 people because you don't want nobody taking your milk, your cereals, your candy, everybody writing their name on stuff. Not knowing that if it's in this house, we everybody eat. Everybody else gotta be mindful of knowing how to share. Everybody gotta look at things, you know what, not just from the perspective of me owning mine, but how we have ownership together as a collective. Because we don't understand that 100% of nothing is nothing. But if you get 10% of something, is more than the nothing. 10% of 100 is is more than having 100% of nothing. So what does that mean? What am I saying? I'm saying that we want to do things and learn how to do it. Sometimes we say it's easier said than done. It starts with oneself, though. It starts from within. It starts about how do you have that relationship with you. A lot of times there's some things that we need to clean up in our own backyard. We got to look ourselves in the mirror. We have to start to be open. We have to start to be open and honest, being transparent, holding ourselves accountable, accountability, holding ourselves accountable. We looking for other people to hold us accountable. Yo, hold me accountable to make sure I get up at this time in the morning. How about you set the alarm clock, buy one first, set the alarm clock, and be disciplined enough to get out that bed and say, you know what, I know this is a struggle, but I gotta do it. Walk up with your coal in your eyes and do whatever you gotta do, but you set your alarm clock. Don't let somebody else be the alarm clock. How about you be the alarm clock? Don't wait for the birds to chirp. How about you set your own alarm clock? So now you can be self-sufficient. So now people can be dependent upon you. It starts with that initial start of you. First, people don't understand that. How can we start building things collective as a collective and wanting to gain trust, wanting to gain all of these things, but you're not dependable. So how can we invest in things or people or people, places, or things if these things aren't um efficient enough or just they're not true in their nature just to show up to do the job? They're not consistent enough to show up and be in real time to be dependable. So how can we invest that time, money, energy into a thing that's not willing to show up for themselves? See, when you see a tree does nothing else but be a tree. Frank Corrado, what's up, loved one? Hi, Frank Corrado in the building. What's up, loved one? Yeah. How can you be a tree and then you want to go out there and play as if you're a pool of water? That doesn't work. You have to be true in your nature. A tree know how to be a tree. A pool of water know how to be a pool of water. An ant be an ant. You can't tell an ant to go be a lion. It doesn't work like that. So whoever you are, the leverage thing, we have to be true in essence of who we are, but we have to learn how to work and develop skill sets in the midst of it. So you know what? Where's my leverage at? What type of background I come from? Where do I want to be at? Sometimes I heard this from Alex Armosi. He said it's not about where you come from. It's not about who you around. It's about who you compare yourself to. So we talked about earlier, not comparing, right? But sometimes if you have nothing to connect to, if you want to be great, how about you connect yourself to great things? Even if it's online, even if it's on the internet, even if it's mentors or people that not in living flesh, but you say, no, I want to be somebody of great esteem. I want to have high esteem about me. I want to be somebody with leading with respect. I want to be somebody that can be dependable. So you look at people that are consistent in their lives. It could be examples. It could be somebody that shows up to do the job no matter what. It could be the janitor that never took a day off for 40 years. You say, you know what? Look at that level of consistency. Look at that level of consistency. So it's not about the profession, it's about the innate ability of the person. They're utilizing their strengths and their leverage. And you see, you know what? They're disciplined like the pawn. They're just consistent at their work, never took a day off. And now it shows of when they acquired the wealth because they know how to do the thing over and over and over again, even when they don't want to. So that's how you start building up the levels of tolerance. Powerful. Let's talk about the bishop, right? We talk about the bishop. The bishop looks like, the movement of the bishop is strictly diagonal, right? So there's one that's on one square, which is the white square, depending on what point, if you're playing against opponent, or not even. It's just moved diagonally, whatever. If it's on the white square or the black square, it's just moved on diagonals. Now, what is it about the bishop, right? Long-term thinking. We thought about the pawns, the bishops. Now we think about the pawns, we talking about the knights. We think about the bishop, the long-term thinking. spiritual and moral alignment, spiritual and moral alignment, reading environments, seeing things from a distance, knowing how to stay in one position and move along diagonally, blah, 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 diagonally, 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 diagonally. I really get tongue twisted with a lot of words. Forgive me, but I'm work in progress. You feel me? Understanding patterns. That's some of the transitions. That's some of the things and attributes that possessed um a bishop to move on a chessboard. Short-sighted living. Those are the traps. Short-sightedness. Sometimes we got to end up playing the long game. And how do we play the long game? Understanding, okay, if I want to get something way across or way down the timeline, how do I do that? It's going to take a lot of patience. It's going to take long-term thinking. So we got to avoid sometimes the short-term traps. Sometimes the shiny object syndrome are literally the traps from the long-term thinking. Because you know what? Let's get rich quick. Let's get this right now. Now understanding that we got to plant those seeds initially. And sometimes it takes the long game in order to acquire that thing. So that's one of the attributes about the bishop on the chessboard. It's not consistent short moves. It's, you know what? It's the long game. Powerful. Take the scenario hypothetically. Imagine sacrificing 5 years to position the next 40. Think about that. Imagine, imagine sacrificing, or you know what? Just remove the word sacrificing, right? Imagine having acts of obedience for 5 years just to position yourself for the next 40. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? Imagine doing a thing out of acts of obedience that's going to set you up for the next 40 years of your life. It sounds like a big investment to me. It sounds like an investment worthwhile investing in. How about you invest that act of obedience within oneself, and who can you be for the next 40? If you understand what growth look like, if you understand what discipline look like, if you understand what investing in your own mind, what that looks like. What about investing in your skill sets for the next 5 years from the acts of obedience? How much can you learn? How much can you grow if you learn how to do a thing? There's ways of doing things. Just like we on a chessboard, each piece on the board has a specific move that they can specialize in. But what about if you added those same skill sets to who you are as the player? Imagine you embody all of these skill sets as the player. So now, anytime you know when to be the knight, you know when to be the bishop, you know how to play the game of consistency as a pawn. What would you bring to the table when my sister Ellie was talking about leverage? That's how you start building up that skill set. That's how you start to acquire the thing. That's how you start to build up the character to become the person. That's when we're talking about that journey that we're going on. Pete, what's up, loved one? Great message. Absolutely, loved one. That's how we start to do the thing. That's how we start building up our skill sets. That's how we start to reskill, like big homie CC said. That's how we start to reskill, is when we start adding more things to who we are, when we start building up our character. Literally, each piece can build up the character, and that allows us to be more skillful. Skill stacking. I heard that from Alex Hormozy too. Alex Hormozy says skill stacking, learning to do a thing and just building on top of that skill to allow you to do other things that's greater. How powerful is that? You learn one thing, you learn how to count on your hands. And then now you're able to do math. And then before you know it, you're an accountant. And now you're the leader of some hedge fund because you learn how to skill stack off that one skill, just learning how to count. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? Just learning the one skill of learning how to count allowed you for positioning yourself for the next five, doing the positioning, doing the things from acts of obedience, learning, growing, developing for 5 years to position yourself for the next 40. That's what skill stacking looks like. Learning how to simply count can position you for the next 40 years after learning for 5. We can do that in any field of expertise. Anything we put our minds to, we can acquire the thing. We could do the thing. We can show up and actually be experts in our field in due time, or trusted people in our field, because you developed over time. People seeing the work, people seeing the growth, they seeing the pitfalls, they seeing the reworking, they seeing the reskilling, they seeing the skill stacking, they seeing the collectiveness, they seeing you coming together, knowing how to work with other people, knowing how to work yourself. Those 5 to 9 hours, not the 9 to 5 hours, the after hours after the work, they seen you do that work. So now when you show up as a trusted person in your field of expertise, now you're qualified, because now people look at you as someone that knows what they're doing, because we've seen the work being put in. So you wasn't an overnight success. The overnight success looked like 5 years of acts of obedience to position yourself for the next 40. That's how powerful we can be. Just learning the elements and the skill sets just from the pieces on the chessboard, because it's a game of life. So how you want to experience life is literally how do you want to acquire your skill sets and how you want to put those skill sets to use. There's things that we can all do that gives us the leverage. There's so many things that are great about you that will give you the leverage, that will give you the skill set. And I know that there's, without a shadow of a doubt, there are going to be some people, places, and things that are not favorable to you. But those are the breeding grounds for growth. There are going to be some people, places, and things that are not favorable to you, but those are the breeding grounds for growth. So don't undermine that. You are put in these positions to learn and grow. Sometimes we miss out on the learning and growing aspect, because we're looking for the big bang, the transformational things overnight. The whoo, we looking for that, but it don't work like that, because you need time to develop the skill to become the person. That's where the power lies at. That nobody can take away what you develop up here. Nobody can take away what you develop up here. People can play games. People can set up rules and systems, change the rules and move the goalposts. They can do all of those things. But once you become the person, there's nothing they can throw in front of you that you won't be able to figure out, because you'll be bigger than the problem. It may take you some time. It may take you getting knocked down and coming right back up stronger than ever. But that's cool, because that's something that's going to be so invaluable. You can't even put a price tag on it. So invaluable that you can't put a price tag on it. And that's you becoming the best version of yourself. The God's greatest gift is you becoming the best version of yourself. That's the best gift you can give anybody, beyond money, beyond all those other things. You being the best version of yourself, because you're giving them a life worth of development, a life worth of skill, a life worth of patience, a life worth of empathy, a life worth of a servitude. Capo, what's up, loved one? Capo in the building. That's the power of us, is learning and growing. And I think those are the things that we can continuously learn and grow through. Coach Lucky says this all the time, and I hold on to this dearly. Sometimes we grow into things just to grow out of them. Sometimes we grow into things to see what the law of the land is, and we learn and grow and we develop. And those were the breeding grounds for us to learn and grow. And then once we figure that out, and then now it's on to the next to grow out of it. So now when you go to your next invention, to your next endeavors and your next things that you want to bring into your world, you can learn and you can teach that. You can pass that along through your testimony, because you've been down our road before. So you become a trusted voice. You become somebody in your field of expertise, of someone can look at and deem as somebody of as an expert, because you've been down our road. You learned and you grew out of that. So now when people repeating those other steps that you may have gone down before, oh, you can tell people how to reposition themselves and pivot and be like the knight on the chessboard, and be unconventional in their approach, disrupt patterns. So when the patterns of being consistent in the thing that isn't working, we know how to disrupt that in the pivot. Just thinking like a knight. We got to disrupt this pattern. I see some habits that I may develop. I see some things that are really, really redundant. But this right here, this leads to the next thing. That leads to the next thing. That pretty much leads to my demise, because I've seen this before. So now we need something to disrupt that pattern. This thing like a knight. And then now, once we reposition ourselves, how about we start being consistent like the pawn, and just be consistent in the right things? That's how we grow and develop. That's how we start building up our skill sets. That's just how we start utilizing our leverage. Powerful, powerful. I have a question for you guys, right? Just a reflective one. Are you are your current choices aligned with the direction you say you want to go? That's just the open question. Carmen says 100. Amen. Absolutely, family. Absolutely. None but unlimited amount of love and praise. Let me ask you that question one more time. It says, are your current choices aligned with the direction you say you want to go? Norm says everybody had no role and played their position. Absolutely. That's when you want to be a team player. But you got to develop that because everybody wants, sometimes not everybody, but people do things for one reason only. It's because they want to. And if you want to be somebody that want to build, you have to learn how to play positions. Sometimes it may require you to be the leader. Sometimes it requires you to be the follower. Sometimes it may require you to be the runner. Sometimes it may require you to be the listener. Sometimes it may require you to put the extra, you need to go on overload. You need to do more work. Sometimes you need to be the researcher. Sometimes you need to be the financial backing. It may require a plethora of skills because we know in order to build a thing, it takes a lot of working hands. And sometimes, you know what? I know me, absolutely. Ellie says, absolutely. I know me. I'm not that skillful to do it all. I have enough sense to delegate the people that are experts in their field. So I'm building my trusted advisors now, getting connected with the right God, getting connected with oneself, doing the right rituals in the morning, connecting with the right team, having the right mindsets around me, not having disruptive energies around me, making sure that I'm at peace. Making sure that I'm actually getting pushed in the right directions and following being around the people that's just doing the things I want to be aligned with, being around the environments that support my motives and my intentions, doing things with intention. Or you know what? How about being directionally right? How about even if I miss the target, I'm still going in the right direction? Lizzie put up the targets earlier. How about if I miss the target, at least I'm going in the right direction? Be directionally right. Be directionally right. So although I don't got all of the steps right, I'm going in the right direction. And I'm vulnerable enough to allow myself to do that. Because sometimes it's scary. Sometimes we think about the ridicule. Sometimes we worried about how many times you gonna do this again. Sometimes we hear that for some of the people that we love. So now we act like everything is cool. We act like we got everything together. And inside, we know we ain't got everything together. We know we need some help. And this may be the 100th time that we need help. But that's okay because you are honest enough to approach it from that perspective to say, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. I still need some help. But when you build that trusted advisors, you build that team, you build people. Gary Vee says this, get around people that love you enough to tell you the truth. I think that's one of the most powerful quotes that I ever heard. Get around people that love you enough to tell you the truth, being honest. I don't want I don't want enablers around me. I don't want people just to go along and get along, just tell me things. Because a lot of times I may be doing some things that's detrimental to me because I can't see outside of myself. So I'm just going with the flow. But there's people that are around me that love me and I say, Johnny, hey, you tweaking, my boy. You messing up, my boy. Now you know you better than that, my boy. Come on, man. Let's shape it up. Let's get right. I know it ain't easy. What you need me to do and help assist you. Okay, you know, I can't do the work for you. I can lead you to the water. I can help you, one twice, but there's a lot of work that you got to put in because ain't nobody gonna show up to support you if you don't want to support yourself. So you got to be willing to get your hands dirty, get in the mud and really put the effort in. Because nobody gonna believe you on the 100th time. Most people don't believe you on the second. They see the same pattern coming around. Oh, here come again, right? Oh yeah, Johnny doing the same thing. He ain't learned nothing. He ain't learned nothing. So imagine the 100th time. You think all of the faith is in you from other people? But what about if you have loved ones around you that love you enough to tell you the truth? Say, you know what, you out of pocket. How about you go to school and focus on school? Hey, Neff, do what you need to do in school. No grab ass. No grab ass. Meaning stop doing the things that, ain't conducive to your growth and your development. Are you directionally right? Are you aligning yourself with the right things? Nephew calls your aunt, yo, come on, man. Let's get back in that gym. I got you, my boy. Come on, let's get that right. I know his intentions in the right place. Your aunt, I got a lot of time on my hands. I need to get back in the gym. Yo, reactivate that membership. Got you, my boy. Let's do it because I'm supporting somebody who want to support themselves. because I know that there are people in my world that did the same thing for me. There's some other people that supported my wrongs, but I had to learn how to reposition myself and be like the knight and say, you know what, let's disrupt this energy over here. Yeah, I got to pivot, and now I'm now on a good foot. You know what I mean? I'm even my intentions are in the right place, and I got enough support around me to tell me what I'm doing good and what I'm doing bad, and not enabling me. So when I'm doing something out of pocket, I get that phone call like my cousin P called me today, say, "Oh, Reed, blah 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 blah," because that's people being honest and love you enough to tell you the truth, not to go along to get along. That's power in that. My cousin P called me today and spilled that. Blah, 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 blah. Reed, let's get this right. That's what happens when people love you, and you built that up. But you got to love yourself enough to make sure that you can recognize that. You got to love yourself enough so you can recognize where the love is really coming from. Because sometimes it be hidden, it be disguised, and you can't really distinguish what is what. You know what I mean? Certain things look good because it's feeding your desires. It's feeding the other side of you, the ego. Sometimes it feeds that negativity, and we know that's the breeding ground for failure. We know that's the breeding ground for failure. Deceitfulness. Everybody's the op. Everybody's the enemy. In reality, everybody just want to win in their own right. Everybody just want to be successful in their own right. But sometimes they got to look bigger than the next person in order for us to feel satisfied. But we got to learn how to build those wins up within oneself to say, I'm solidified no matter what. Whether I made money today, whether I did make money today, whether I helped somebody across the street or I didn't help nobody across the street, whether I did this or whether I did that. Nah, we gotta really base it off our intentions of doing the right things and making sure no matter what pitfalls I may go up against and what things I may encounter along my journey, I know I led with the best intentions. And I'm gonna just keep relying on me, just keep repositioning myself and doing those things with the best intentions. Let's go with the rook. Rooks are powerful pieces. On the chessboard, this would be structure, stability. This is the one that sets standards. Slide back and cross. This one has a lot of power. It moves all over the chessboard. It slides, has unlimited amount of range. Unlimited amount of range. If we think about this in life, right? Boundaries. Boundaries. Financial structure. Emotional maturity. I love that. Emotional maturity. Consistent routines. High personal standards. How do you look at oneself? Where's your self-esteem at? Do you have your standards high or you have low standards? How are you setting the bar? Alex Hormozy said he gets a ball. He thinks of his goals in his life as like a big bone to a dog, right? You give a dog a bone and the dog eat a bone up, blah, 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 blah. But if you give a dog a bone that's so big that he can't chew on it, they be taking all year. It takes him forever. A bone that he just can't chew through. So imagine your goals in your life. You set the standard that high. You say, you know what? If I shoot for the stars and I miss, I still hit the sky. I think Hov or somebody said that. If I shoot for the moon and I miss, I still hit the sky, something like that, something along those lines. But think about those things, your goals, your wants, your desires, the things that you want to bring into your reality, the things you want to experience. Think about it from that perspective, shooting so high that if you fail, it's really not a failure because you're still landing in the sky. That's how, if you think about a rook, about those boundaries, about those about personal maturity, about us growing, developing, sharpening our skill sets. That's what that looks like from a rook perspective. Living without structure feels free. Living without structure feels free until chaos starts charging rent. Living without structure feels free. Free to do whatever, roam whatever, do whatever I want, say whatever I want, live the way I want. Can't nobody tell me nothing until chaos starts and start charging you rent. Oh my God. Freedom is built on structure. Freedom is built on structure. This is something that we miss out on. People like us do things like this, structure wise. There's a pecking order. If everybody don't show up to do their job and be disciplined enough and structured enough to do their job, how do we build? Because we all are dependent on one another's skill sets, on what we bring to the table. Us simply setting our alarm clocks and showing up to do the job. That's what that looks like. Powerful. And we have the queen on the board. We almost there. Bear with us. We almost there. We had a powerful live. You know, let's get a round of applause for everybody that's still with us. How about that? How about the chat? You know what? Let's do it. Just do the chant. Round of applause. Round of applause. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Powerful. We almost there, loved ones. We almost there. The queen embodies range. Ooh, the queen on the board embodies range, right? She moves with authority. Moves with authority. I love that. The queen, maximum influence, self mastery. That's what queens look like. The queens out there in the real world, they maximize influence. They master self mastery. They embody range, free to move, but she moves with authority, authoritative. Mean what she say what she mean, bound by oath, power in that, respect it. That's what the queens represent. You know what they also represent? Emotional intelligence. You know what they also represent? The communication ability. You know what they also represent? Leadership presence. You know what they also represent? Strategic relationships. You know what they also represent? Self control, just like on the chessboard. All those things in real time is what a queen represents in real world. That's what the queen represents on the chessboard. Self mastery, self control, strategic relationships, free of range, but with authority, authoritative, powerful. Mm. Yes, yes. Let's get to something really quick. I wanna bring it to this. Really, we're gonna end it out like this: the checkmate mentality. The checkmate mentality. Winning at life is rarely about 1 billion move. Let me say this one more time. Winning at life is rarely about one brilliant move. It's about avoiding the careless ones. Mm. Let's read that one more time, man. I have to do it. I got to do it with fluidity. I was choppy. Let's do this thing with fluidity. Here we go. Winning at life is rarely about one brilliant move. It's about avoiding the careless ones. Mm. Think before acting, position before attacking, developing before expanding. That's how you checkmate. I have one last question I want to ask you guys. One last question, then we out of here. If your life is a chessboard, what move do you need to make next? And what move must you finally stop making? Say that one more time, man. I have to do the double on top. I have to do this one more time, double up again. I think it's more emphasis when you say it twice. That's why I keep reiterating it. When I say things one time and it's powerful and it's meaningful, I think I need to say double up twice the amount of times because I think it resonates that much stronger when I feel this compassionate about it. So let me say it one more time. If your life was a chessboard, what move do you need to make next? And what move must you finally stop making? In closing, move with intention, because every move is either positioning you for a checkmate or placing you in it. Man, this has been a powerful live. It's been a powerful podcast. It's been a powerful episode. The energy in the building um, is unfathomable. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys embody the spirit of love, compassion, patience, discipline, acts of servitude, willing to go out there and extend yourself, heavily embodied in empathy, being able to go out there and put yourself in positions to feel for another, and you guys able to allow me to show up in that same fashion because you give me that strength to do so. And this couldn't have been done without each and every one of us because each presence didn't happen by happenstance. This was divine. This was a divine appointment. Um, we could be doing a plethora of things in the world, but here it is. During these hours of the day, we all find ourselves here building with one another, and I think that is the power. Shine, what's up, loved one? I think that's the power within each and every one of us. I want us to continuously go out there, build from within, love yourself, trust yourself, allow yourself to be vulnerable in certain positions so you can get over those humps that's stopping us, those moves that are stopping us, that leading us into checkmate. We don't want to be in those positions. And the way we grow through those things is if we learn about who we are, where we are, and how we can transition ourselves to be those pieces on the chessboard and use these things to our leverage. Learn collectiveness, learn how to build with one another, learn to put ourselves in position like the queen on the board, strategic relationships, build those relationships because everything is going to count. Be that authority when you're moving. Be that authority. It's very, very powerful. Um, the kings, the protected, they're the protectors. They protect. Um, be the king, be the queen, be the knight, be the rook, be the bishop, and be consistent like the pawn. It's been a wonderful episode, and I look forward to next week doing it again. I love you guys. Love yourself more. And don't forget that life is like a game of chess. And it's all about your perspective and your positioning. So keep positioning yourself not to get checkmate. Keep checking the things that you need to check to avoid going down the path of being checkmated. We out here. We'll see you next week again, man. Love yourself. And don't let nobody tell you different. Go check us out on respectfullygate.com. Go like, share, subscribe, thumb up, tell a person, tell somebody, and do those things, all those things that you do to build up that algorithm. Talk to me. Yep. Yep. My auntie, my auntie was cutting the rug at normal joint. My auntie, Aunt OG says, she loves me and continue doing our thing. Me and my auntie was cutting the rug at Norma's joint. We on that dance floor doing our 1, 2, getting that diddy bop on. Like you heard, boy, like I get down on the floor here and there. You feel me? You feel me? On there doing that thing. Auntie was cooking. Auntie was cooking. Man, we had a wonderful time, and that's a beautiful moment that we can share. Not at a funeral, we shared that in real time, in the place of just getting together, and that's what it looks like when we come together as one people. We have fun, share our expressions, and continuously learn and grow and appreciate um, each other presence. And I think that's really, really key. Appreciate each other presence. We don't have to always be at odds. We don't always have to bicker at one another. We can find solace. We can find um we can find love from within and be able to express that without. So love yourself. I'll see you next week again. And we are out of here. Respectfully.